You know, when water gets into your house, you usually just see the obvious stuff, right? The puddle on the floor. But what's happening underneath all that, inside your walls, well, that's a whole different ballgame. Today, we're going to dive into that invisible world and really uncover the hidden science of water damage. It almost always starts with something that looks totally innocent, a tiny little drip. Your first instinct is probably to just grab a paper towel, wipe it up, and move on with your day. Seems harmless enough. But here's the thing. The second that water seeps past the surface, a clock starts ticking. And believe it or not, a silent war has just kicked off between your home's structure and a surprisingly powerful enemy. And that's exactly what we're going to break down for you. In the next few minutes, we're going to pull back the curtain on the timeline, the science, and the tools used to fight a battle you might not even realize is happening right under your nose. Okay, first things first. It all boils down to a super critical window of time. Those first 48 hours after water gets in are everything, and I'm telling you, the clock is definitely not on your side. And this is where it gets kind of crazy. I want you to really think about this for a second. Every single hour that passes, that water is silently climbing up the inside of your walls, spreading out by about 1 square foot. It's moving so much faster than you'd ever guess. This timeline really shows you how fast a small leak can turn into a huge headache. I mean, within just 1 hour, it's already sinking into your subfloor. By the 24-hour mark, things are starting to swell, your furniture's getting wrecked, and you've got the beginnings of microbiologic growth. But here's the real kicker. By 48 hours, those mold spores, they're not just hanging out anymore. They're active, they're multiplying, and they're turning a simple water problem into a genuine health risk. So, to see how this all plays out in the real world, let's zoom in on one specific place. The town of DeSoto, Texas, is actually a fascinating case study because it has this unique combo of risks that basically creates a perfect storm for water damage. Check this out. It's like a triple threat. First, the ground itself is made of this expansive clay soil, which literally moves and shifts, putting stress on foundations and pipes until they crack. On top of that, you've got aging homes with cast iron pipes from the 70s and 80s that are just silently rusting away. And the final piece of the puzzle? The climate. It's humid, which acts like a giant incubator, making mold grow like crazy the second it has a little bit of water. It's a three-front war. So, how do you fight an enemy you can't see, that moves this fast? Well, you can't just throw a few towels down and call it a day. You have to fight science with science. And that means bringing in some seriously advanced technology. And the rules for that science are actually set by a group called the IICRC. Now, this isn't just some random company. This is the organization that sets the global standard for restoration. So when you hire someone who's IICRC-certified, you know they get the science. They know how to properly dry your home to prevent future problems, and that means mold. It is also absolutely critical to understand that not all water is the same, not even close. Clean water coming from a burst supply line, that's one thing. But black water, we're talking sewage, floodwater, that's a legitimate biohazard. It needs a completely different level of cleanup, safety gear, and expertise. To deal with all this, the pros come in with a pretty high-tech toolkit. They use thermal cameras that literally let them see the cold signature of water hiding inside a wall. They have these special meters that can measure moisture deep inside a wooden beam. And then you've got the big guns, industrial-strength dehumidifiers and high-velocity air movers. Together, they create this powerful vortex of evaporation that's designed to suck every last drop of moisture out of your home structure. It all comes together in this very systematic three-phase attack. Phase 1 is extraction, getting all that standing water out as fast as possible. Then comes the really crucial part, structural drying. This can take anywhere from 3 to 5 days of non-stop work with all that equipment. And this is so important. You only start rebuilding after the meters confirm the structure is scientifically dry. If you rush that step, you're pretty much guaranteeing you'll have a mold problem down the road. Okay, so now that you know all that, what about you? What can you actually do? This part is your personal playbook, how to spot the hidden signs of trouble and what your very next move should be. Honestly, your senses are your best first line of defense. That musty smell in a closet, a sudden spike in your water bill, paint that's bubbling, or floors that are starting to warp, these aren't just your house getting old. They are potential distress signals that water is leaking somewhere you can't see. And that last one, the sound of running water when you know everything is turned off, that's a massive red flag. And if you're still not convinced that every second counts, I want you to just fixate on one single number, 1,000. What is it? Well, that's how many gallons of water a single burst pipe can pour into your home in just 2 hours.
1,000 gallons. It's just a staggering amount, and it really shows you how a tiny problem can become an absolute catastrophe in what feels like the blink of an eye.
So if you take away only one thing from all of this, please let it be this. In a water emergency, your first move, the most important one, isn't to call for help. It isn't to grab a bucket. It is to find your main water valve and shut it off immediately. That one single action stops the bleeding and prevents the damage from getting any worse. And that really brings us to the final question. We know now that water damage is sneaky, it's silent, and it's hidden. So now that you know the science, the real question is, are you listening for those warning signs? Is your home hiding a secret that you now know how to find?